Hey guys, and welcome to the Sesame Street topper class. Today we're going to be creating all these toppers, but I'm going to make it really easy for each and every one of you. You don't need that many tools or that many cutters. I'm going to show you how to do everything with minimal amount of effort, and we're going to be saving lots of time. And you already know why I do 6 toppers. I feel, and this has worked for me in my business as well, I feel if you do 6 intricate toppers, 6 really detailed toppers, you can sell a dozen or more cupcakes with those 6 intricate toppers, and the other ones just have colored buttercream with another choice of colored sprinkles, because you have these 6 awesome toppers. They're okay with the other ones not being as decorated. You cut your time in half, but you still get your labor and you still get your money's worth, and so on and so forth. So if you guys have no questions, we are gonna go ahead and start with our toppers. Okay, so the first one we're gonna start with is Big Bird. Big Bird is a big yellow guy. He has lots and lots of feathers, but we're not gonna sit here and put a lot of feathers on our topper guy. So the easiest way to do Big Bird, look at him, he looks like Big Bird, is just get a little bit of your yellow fondant, whatever fondant you have, roll it out, not too thick, but thick enough for you to go in there and make some indentations with your tool. And I will show you what tool we're using. We're using our shallot, I like to call them a shallot tool, and we will be using our 2-inch topper that is flared. And we're gonna cut that. Yes, it is a little littler than our Big Bird right here, but I'm gonna show you how we get there. Now, we want him to look like he has a bunch of feathers. So what we're gonna do is go from the middle and come out. And we're just gonna give it one round. Okay, and then we're gonna go in to the feathers, into each of the little ridges and our half circles, and really dig in there, but not too much pressure to where you're gonna cut the fondant, but enough pressure to give the indentation. Now what we wanna do is use this backwards, and we're just gonna give the illusion of different layers of feather. Now you could do it this way too. It's completely up to you. I feel if you do it this way, you're gonna get more layers, indentation. So just go in there and indent it all the way through. You're gonna do the lift, 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 and press technique. You're gonna do that with all the way in the middle with each layer, because you wanna give it, you know, like you have layers of feathers. So now that we got what we looks like Big Bird, see how it spread out and became bigger? That's exactly what we're looking for. Now for the eyes, I would stick to 1 centimeter in round shape. I'm using a Wilton to a piping tip. If you do have a circle or plunger that is 1 centimeter, go ahead, use that. I feel if you don't have one, why buy another one if you have a piping tip already? So all we're doing is we're gonna cut out some circles of white fondant. Let's get that out of there. Alrighty. And put our white away. And then we're gonna leave those on the side. We're gonna get the rest of our yellow that we just took out of there. And we want a beak to be 1.5 inches in height and about 1/2 inch wide. So all we're doing is just rolling a ball. It's about a 1 by 1 ball right there. And then we're gonna cone it like that. Then we're gonna flatten the bottom. If you want a longer beak, make sure you roll it out in a cone a little longer. And just flatten the bottom on whatever surface you're working on. If you're not working on a fondant mat, make sure you do cornstarch your surface. And all you're gonna do is get a tool, any kind of tool that you do indentations with, and you're gonna go halfway up, and you're gonna do the same for the other side, halfway up and down, and then meet in the middle, and just give it a little indentation so the beak itself looks a little taller. This one is more out than the top. And then we're gonna measure it to face. 1.5 by 1/2 inch is usually the good measurement. This one is a little bigger, it's probably a little, like an inch right here, and this is 1.5 up and down. When you do the eyes, make sure that you put it next to or close to the beak, and I'll show you what I mean. So we're gonna put that there. Make sure the beak is not too far down, but not too far up, because he will look a little wonky. Now I'm just putting a little bit of glue. My edible glue is available on YouTube, don't forget. You put the eyes, make sure the eyes go together, and you push those eyes together. And you can flatten out the bottom of the eyes beforehand, and then push them into the beak. And then just, with your fingers, spread the eyes out a little upwards. Oh, a little upwards, and then you could just shape it. Just keep in mind that we're going to be putting 2 other colors on top. So now we're going to want to get the blue fondant, a little bit of blue fondant. We're just going to roll it out. Don't need a lot. Just a little string, and if you want, you can paint it. You don't have to do this method. You can paint the blue on there, but I feel it gives it a better 3D effect when you do the fondant way. Now, do put a little bit of edible glue around the eyes. Now you're going to give him a unibrow. He's going to look like an angry bird in a second. Go in with your fondant cutter. And then we're just going to cut it off right here and trim it. Looking like an angry bird. It's okay. We'll fix that too. Trim it off right there. Alright, so now what we want to do is get our pink, because on his eyelids it's blue and pink. So, alright, so we're going to get some pink, roll that out. You see Big Bird coming to life already. So we're rolling the pink out. Same thing we did with the blue. But we're going to have the pink overlap the blue on the sides, but we're still bringing it in. Okay. And then bringing it out. So what I mean by overlapping the blue, we're just bringing the pink and sticking it on top of the blue like that. And if it's a little bigger, just cut it, no problem. And we're just overlapping the blue. Don't make it harder than it is. You got this. And just make sure you go in there and separate them, because you don't want them to be angry, but you want them to look like Big Bird. Now, after that step, we're just going to get some black and give him some pupils. If you have a plunger for this too, you can do that, or you can just get little pieces of fondant or edible marker and just stick his eyeballs in there, pupils, sorry. And what I love to do is get my mini balling tool and just make it a little bigger. And then there we got Big Bird. Remember, if you guys have any questions on any of the toppers, you are more than welcome to send us an email or leave a question in the blog section of queenbeebaker.com. So that was Big Bird. All right, so let's move on to Elmo. Elmo is fun. Elmo's so cute, isn't he? All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna roll out some red. Not too thick, you know, he's not super hairy. You know, his 2D figure effect is pretty good. And with him, we don't have to use the ridged edged cutter. We can just use a normal 2x2 cutter. And all we're doing, cutting it out, getting the fondant, and we're just, I feel like I don't need to invest extra money on a oval cutter because I can reach that same effect by hand, and I save money that way too. So there's our Elmo. Make sure you go in there and you do nip away at the fondant. So you're basically manipulating it to look like hair. And then you would just flare the fondant out. Flare it, flare it. And then when right here for the eyes, what we'd want to do is just cut a little bit of space for the eyes. And these eyes are 1.5 centimeters. I feel like that was the best size for the Elmos and for all the other toppers like Cookie Monster. And then the other eyes are all 1 centimeter. But 1.5 worked the best for Elmo. If you don't have a 1.5, that's okay. Just do what looks best as far as you know, constructing the eyes and the face and making it flow. All right, so now we're gonna use our tool again, and we're just gonna go in there and give him a little bit of a fur effect. We're not doing too detailed on his face or anything. It's just mostly at the edges. You don't have to do too much to him because he'll look like Elmo even if you didn't flare him out like that. All right, so now that we got that going, I'm just putting a little more indentations for Elmo. What we want to do is cut a half circle mouth. All right. You can widen the mouth up a little bit more. And all we're doing here is going in like so. And then we're gonna give it a little triangle-y effect within there. And then we're gonna get our tool. And we're just gonna score it as if there was little hairs right there. We're gonna turn that around. We're gonna get some of our black. We're gonna roll out our black. And make sure the black is thin because the thinner, the better. It will lay flat and you won't have an uprise of the topper itself when you're letting it dry. So we're doing a half shape. And then we put it to the back where the mouth is. Alrighty. And then the eyes, white. Like I said, 1.5 is best. If you don't have a 1.5, just do what I'm gonna do. I do not have a 1.5. I improvise, making it easy for all of you. So all I'm gonna do is cut it out. So this is actually 2 centimeters. So we're gonna cut that out. And then all we're gonna do is shape it down to 1.5. You can have a ruler and just keep measuring it if you want to, but just try to keep it within the realm. The eyes, these would be too big. That's too big. Again, it's to your liking. It's however you want to do it. Just keep shaping them. And then put a little bit of black fondant. And if you put too little bit of the black fondant, don't worry, we got our balling tool. And then we can just go in there and give it a bigger pupil. Make sure you do glue in between all these sessions of sticking fondant together, or else it'll stick to you. He's got a pretty big pupil, so try to make that pupil as big as you can. And then his nose is an orange. What I recommend for his nose is to cut it down to size. I would use a 1.5 circle right here. I'm sorry, 2. And just, it wants to be a little thick. Make sure it's a little thick, you guys. Like that. And then simply shape it with your fingers. Like that. Literally, just shaping the nose with your finger. He's got a pretty big schnoz. You can make it smaller or bigger. It's up to you. Just make sure it's not too pointy at the top. It's got some flatness to it. Elmo! So there's Elmo. If you guys don't have any questions on Elmo, we will continue. All right, awesome. Make sure you do stick him together, because sometimes you might forget to stick it, and there goes all your work, and you're gonna have to wait for it to dry again once you just try to stick it again. All right. Now, let's do Mr. Cookie Monster. Cookie Monster is pretty fun. So he is all blue. Same size eyes. His eyes are a little more on the googly side. So all we're doing is getting some blue. The thickness of the blue doesn't have to be so much, but you just have to cut it with your fondant cutter to get that fur effect. And again, we are using a 2-inch round. And as you saw me do with Elmo, stretch. Stretch out the mouth downwards. Stretch again. There you go. I would suggest cutting a flat top right there at first. And then going in and just getting, you know, pieces of fondant and starting to do the fur. All you have to do is start hacking away. Hack away. Hacking all that fondant away. And then flick it up if you want more of a fur effect. Just flick it up. And then use your little tool again. Remember, you could use a fork or anything that you have that is health code safety. If you use a fork, make sure that fork is only for that particular thing that you're doing, and then you put it away. So all I'm doing is flicking his fur up. I'm not really sure why it's called fur. I don't even know it's fur. Is it fur? Alright, so all we're doing is flicking the fur. And with his eyes, because they are so googly, you can, just like we did the other eyes and we cut them out, I went ahead and did some googly eyes. Put it on top of the flat surface. So necessarily, I would say not to put it and just put it in between, but because his eyes are so googly, I would definitely put it on top to give it that weird googly effect. With his mouth, we are gonna give him a big old grin. And it will be a half circle again, but a little bigger because he's got a big mouth and he's eager to eat cookies. Excuse me. So what we're gonna do is get some more of our black fondant. Oh, that looks funny. And we're gonna roll it out. And if you're unsure of the size of the mouth, just use a circle cutter. And yeah, that's about the right size. And then cut that half circle, or maybe a little over, so that you don't miss any corners, and just stretch it a little bit. See? There you go. Make sure it's nice and flat. And for his mouth and upper mustache lip, all we're doing is creating a little bit of fur. We're not really doing any indentations, but a little bit of fur like that. We're gonna stick the eyes. Make sure the eyes come together and you just stick them on there like that. But make sure the eyes are touching, like so. And then for the cookie, all we have to do is get a little bit of a light brown. If you have brown, just mix some white into it. Cut it out with your smallest circle cutter. Make sure it's thick because it's a chunky cookie and he loves cookies. And just make some indentations. Depending on what you have to make an indentation, like as if he was biting it. You can use your balling tool. You can use an indentation tool where it just goes in and in like that. And your balling tool, you could do the same thing. Just go in and in. Just make the little half moons. Put that right there next to his lip. And put some chocolate chips on there. Make sure the chocolate chips are a little darker than the cookie that you just made. Those ones kind of blend in. So weird. It's okay. Just make sure the chocolate chips are a little darker. Alrighty, so that is Cookie Monster. Alrighty, so let's put him aside and let's do Oscar the Grouch. He is a fun one. Oscar the Grouch, his fur is very textured differently because he does live in a trash can and he is grungy and he is dirty. We can play around with his fur a little bit. So all I'm doing, it's a mixture of dark green and a little bit of light green. And if you have a speckle of brown in there to give him that dingy, dirty look, no problem, because he's Oscar the Grouch, so he can be a little dirty. What we're doing is getting our 2-inch cutter, the flattered one, cutting that out, stretching that out, because why invest in another set of cutters we don't need if we have them all in our hands? And all we're doing is stretching it out, okay? All you want to do is a lift and press technique at the ends. Now, he does have different hair because it's dirtier and dingier. So you can do him however you want. You can go in there and hack away, start carving, whatever you want to do. So I'm literally just, you can go different ways. There's just so much you can do with him because he is Oscar the Grouch and he doesn't take showers, so people understand if he's a little dingy. It's the way it's supposed to be. All right, so with him, because his hair is really different, You can cut off some strands here, some strands there, some strands there, you know, just make them really different. His hair, that is. He is still a Sesame Street character. And all you have to do is just go in here. You still have those points of where, you know, don't cut them off. Just cut a little here and a little there off. And then you can, you know, make your indentations. Make it smaller, just, you know, stretch it out again. Just so that people know it's Oscar the Grouch. Now, Oscar the Grouch does have 2 1-inch eyes. So this size, we'll cut them out with that white fondant. One. All right. And then we're gonna get some of our brown. What I've noticed, if you use a darker brown, he will look more angrier. So depending on how dark you want the brown, it's completely up to you. All right, all I did was a little sausage link, and then I'm gonna flatten that out. A little bit of thickness. And then I'm going to cut this out. And I'm gonna pinch it right here. See, like that. Pinching. Don't need all this, so we can cut that. So you're kind of getting like an M shape too. Alrighty. And then from here, make sure you got that nice little point on there. And then there's a point right there as well. Just go and hack away. His eyebrows or unibrow is really weird and different. So it's kind of out there. So do make them pretty extraordinarily different. You can hack some of it off. Not all strands of hair have to be the same. Alrighty. And then for his mouth, it's not going to be a super huge smile, just a small one, so a small half circle. So you just do that, take that off. Then we're going to roll out some black and then put it behind the mouth. Remember, a super thin layer is going to go a long way. Alright, there's the mouth. And for his upper mustache lip, I want to say, we just can go in and hack away. And then do some indentation, like that. Boom, Oscar the Grouch. Then we're gonna put his eyes in there. They're a little far away from each other. And if you feel like the eyebrows are too thick, no worries. Just go in there, hack some off. There you go. Hack some of that eyebrow off. Make sure you still get the indentation in the middle, and then you're going around the eyes. Okay? You're going around the eyes. Give me a second. I feel like it's a little too big. Make sure you still have that indentation in there that you can do with your hand. Okay? Make sure you glue everything down. Alright, so as we're putting his unibrow on there, make sure we do put his black pupils in there. Don't forget those. They're not too big, but they're not too small. They're just right. Remember, if one is bigger than the other, just go in there with your smaller rolling, with your ball tip, and just roll it in there, make it bigger. Make sure you got a good indentation because he's always grumpy. And then for his tongue, it's simply going to be a ball of red fondant. Smash that down. Make it look like a heart. Most of their tongues are like hearts, so. Yeah. And then do that again. So ball of fondant, or if you have a heart sprinkle, you can always use a heart sprinkle. Make it easier on yourself. And then there's Oscar the Grouch. All right, any questions on Oscar the Grouch? Remember, this is a pre-recorded link, so if you have any questions at any time, please message me, send us an email, or write it in the blog. All right, so we've done 3 of the main characters. Actually, no, we've done 4. Cookie Monster, Elmo, Grouch, and Big Bird. So now we have Bert and Ernie. Okay, so we're gonna start with this little half banana guy. He is pretty simple. I had to get him down. You know, there's a bunch of different ways of doing him the hard way, but I got him down the simple way. So all we're doing is cutting out another 2-inch chopper. I love working with the 2x2 circle cutter because you can always work from there, and that's your base. All right, and then what we're doing is making a cone head, like so. Okay, and then we're just gonna hack away a little bit at the bottom. So we got like an egg shape. And with that little bit, we're gonna create the ears. So don't throw it away, don't put it away. Get your little cutter, round cutter. And that 1 centimeter, we're gonna cut that in half. And then from that, I'm gonna put that on the sides, not too close to the end, but kind of in the middle end. All right there. So we're gonna get 2 eyes for him as well. They're gonna be cut out 1 centimeter. All right, and then we're gonna get some of our black and we're gonna roll that out and we're gonna get the unibrow. This is about 2 centimeters right there. And we're gonna go in between on top of the ears right there. And then for the eyes, we're gonna put pupils. We're going to put 2 black pupils. Give me 1 second. The pupils are not that big. Those got a little dirty. They're a little far apart, not too far apart. But the unibrow is like a little upwards. Not really next to the eyes. Right there. Now for the nose, it's gonna be some orange. You can cut it out or you can shape it out. I feel like you can do it with a round cutter. Make sure it's a little thick. Okay, and all you have to do is cut that a little bit off here, a little bit off there, and shape it. Don't make it harder than it is. Just shape it. It's not that hard. Just shape it. Yeah. Make sure you are gluing all your pieces because, like me, I forget to glue my pieces sometimes, and then it's no fun having to glue them when they're already dry. Then we're gonna glue the nose. The nose is a little big, kind of like Elmo's nose, but a little thicker on top, like that. shape this one a little narrower. So it'll sit right there. There we go. And then for the mouth, really easy, really simple. Just get a piece of red fondant, roll it out like that. Sharp corners at the edges, like so. All we're doing is getting our little balling tool. Or you can just cut the sliver out, however you want to do it. And then we just stick a little piece of pink for his tongue. And you're good to go. And then we'll start his hair. All right. There we go, that's his smile. And with the unibrow, make sure you do give it indentations because they are hair. And then for his hair, it's like a pineapple. And the best way to do his hair, roll out some black fondant. Whatever size you're doing of these toppers, if you don't want to do the size I recommend, just make sure you're doing within the realm of the size of topper you're working with. And just go in and see if it covers, you know, that right there. So if it goes in right there, it's a good size. This, too small, because we need hair that flares out. So all we're gonna do is make it an oval shape, like his head. Cutting this portion off, and then we're literally going in and hacking away, and then go straight, hack away, straight, hack away. And then from here, you're gonna go, because he has two hairs that stand up, like that. And then I hack away. And we're going to do another one going this way. His hair is a little funky, so don't worry about it. And then we're going to do some indentations there. And then we put his hair on his head. Oh yeah, he looks awesome. I know, don't you love it when they come to life? All right, so no questions on him. We shall move on. All right, so our last guy, Ernie. So I am using some orange fondant for him. And again, we're gonna be using a 2" by 2 topper. Save that extra fondant for the ears. So all we're doing is stretching him this way and stretching his head up because he has a big head and a little down. And then there you go. Most of this is gonna be covered by the hair anyways, so. We gotta give him a widow's peak on his head. So same thing. This is 1.5 inches. Cutting that out, stretching it out. Gonna go flat right here. And then we're gonna go in and give it a widow's peak, like so. And then we're gonna do the spikes. So same thing that we did with Gert's or Ernie's. I gotta get their names mixed up, sorry guys. All right, perfect. So remember, we wanted him to have the widow's peak. Stretch that out a little bit because he has a bigger head. Put that on top. And then from here, we're gonna cut out 2 of the circles. And then we're gonna cut out a little sliver here and a little sliver there. Put that on the sides. Perfect. And then for the eyes, we're gonna roll out some white fondant. We're gonna do the 2M Wilton again. This works very well for eyes in 2" by 2 toppers. So this would be cheaper than buying a plunger, just saying. And all you wanna do is create more of an oblong oval eye. So all I did was shape it with my hands. Shape that fondant. Okay. And his eyes are sideways. Just keep in mind to keep it catty corner from the widow's peak to the side. Okay. And there you go. Kind of like sad eyes. And then his pupils are towards the top of the eyes. They're not as big, but you can determine how big you want the pupils. Little pieces of black fondant. And then you can make them bigger. His nose is red. Same thing. This is very versatile for everything in the topper world. I've been finding out I love this. All right, so his nose is red and round. You can make it a little plump right here on top, but mostly round. I feel like his nose needs to be a little more narrow right here. And then for his mouth, same thing we did, or you could just cut it out. Make sure it's a thin slice of fondant. Make sure you're doing that half smile. And he does have dimples, which I found interesting, so. Just make sure the corners are pretty narrow and sharp. There we go. Yes, that's what we want. So just give him some dimples right here. Alrighty, and then we would put his pink tongue. And again, you know, the tongue can be a heart, it could be a sprinkle, or just simply put it on there however you want. A circle, a cutout circle, however you want. I can't wait to see your guys' toppers. And just give them a little bit of an indentation down the middle. Tuck in that red. We want the tongue to be more towards the outer. And there we go. So we finished all our characters. So our little guys. They look really awesome. If you guys have any questions about any of them, please send me an email. Remember, you can find the latest classes at queenbeebaker.com. And now with the new features, you can just click on something and pay for it and get the link right directly to your email. You don't have to wait. Live classes, you do have to wait, but that's about it. If you guys have any questions, please send me a message or an email or write on the blog. All right, you guys, I hope you had fun making these little guys, and I can't wait to see you guys tag me on them. You guys have a wonderful day. Candy is out.